Whoa! You weren't expecting a song, were you? Hopefully, I should be live now, but I'm only really going to know when people start typing something in. I can see 9 people, 7 people. Oh, two got upset by my face straight away. But hello, everyone. As promised, Google Analytics training. I don't know if those of you that saw our live video on Facebook last week, but we said, what would you like to be trained in and what do you want to know more about? And one of the first things that came back was Google Analytics and goal setting. So, hopefully, I'm going to be able to run through that with you today, assuming that the internet plays ball with me. But according to my little statistics I'm looking at now, we have an excellent setup. Thank you, Twitch. Very kind of you. I'll just give another couple of minutes for people to hopefully find us, and then we're going to get into it. What I've done is I've got one of our clients' old accounts to look through, so that I don't give away too many bits of information for people that we're currently working with. And I have denamed it where possible. But like I said, it's for an old website from nearly 3 years ago, actually. But there's still a bit of data that comes through, and we use it for training scenarios like this. So hopefully those of you are sat at your computer now, ideally on your desktop, because I'm going to be showing you things that you can do right now, and then we can all learn together like a happy Google family. Hope you've got tea and coffee or whatever it is that you have. Just awkwardly slurp. I can see people that are watching, but can people hear me? Can people hear me fine? Is everything coming through okay? If somebody could type in the chat, that would be absolutely grand. Otherwise, I'm a lunatic in a room talking to myself. There we go. Jade saving the day, as usual. Excellent. Because the thing is with these Twitch streams, and with any live stream really, before I go slightly off track, is that everything relies on the internet, and I've got massive upstreams and massive downstreams, so if we get any sort of fluctuation, it can cause a little... So if that happens, sometimes you'll know before I do, so just drop me a little message and say it's buffering or it's streaming, and I'll slow down a little bit. But if people can hear me, then I suppose I'm just going to crack on. So I've got 2 screens set up. So if I'm ever looking there, that's the main screen. If I'm looking there, that's the little backup screen where I've got all my streaming set up, and it's just wires everywhere. It's not very nice. So if I go onto my screen share, you will see an immediate little bit of Twitch and then some Google Analytics. So, of the people that are currently watching the stream, how many of you are actually sat at your computer able to do stuff on Google Analytics right now? Because that is going to be the most important thing for me. And also, I'm going to go and explain a few things that were asked in our live video last week. But I will also go off on a bit of a tangent, so if you want me to slow down, then just tell me, and I'll go off in your direction. Ultimately, these sessions are for you, so you've got to tell us about it. You've got to tell us what you want to know. If you can hear any background noise, it's because we are obviously at home, and someone, no clues who, is making lunch. Okay, so hopefully people are familiar somewhat with analytics and what it's for. So if you've got a website of any description, you should have analytics on your website. It's just a little piece of code. It's completely free of charge, completely free. There isn't a catch, and it is. I mean, you know, it's one that we will put on every single site we make without fail. Absolutely everything. And the reason we do that is because it can interpret a lot of data on your behalf very quickly. Now, with any streaming platform, there's always going to be things that are less good and things that are going to be a little bit of a struggle. Hang on, let me just put back the other screen. I just need to move something. there's always going to be a little bit of struggle on a few things, because ultimately every piece of data can never be truly guaranteed. We're always going to work, on what we believe is happening. And the first thing you can do is just put Google Analytics on your website. There's a few other things that we can do, but we'll save that for another day. I think that's probably for the best right now. So, if I just go back here, what you'll see, this is the main page that you get to on Google Analytics, and it will always show you, just you'll see at the top of the screen where we've got an 84, 89, 3.37 and 51 seconds. And one of the things that people always ask us is, can you just explain what these numbers mean a little bit? So we always find that this is just quite a useful thing to look at straight away. So users, I hope, is relatively self-explanatory. 84 users. So but it doesn't really mean anything by itself. We need to look in a bit more detail. So we always tell people the first thing you should do is go over to the left here and hover over acquisition. If you just click that, it'll open a much bigger list. And then we just want to click on overview. And that will take us to this front page, but with a bit more information. So here we can see not just users, we can see our ratio of spend, we can see our the dates on the top right hand corner here, and it means that we can actually understand what period we're looking at, because one user isn't very good, but if you're only looking at this morning, then maybe it's not too bad. If we just scroll down a little bit, you'll see this. Now, this is where you should be spending a good chunk of your time just to have a little look at what's going on. So that 84 number that I told you earlier, that 84 is now in the top left, just here. And it shows you the breakdown of those 84 people and how they've reached your site. So this site is obviously something that's heavily on organic search. Oh, hang on, bear with me 1 second. Oh, that should be better now. Sorry, I've got a lot of buttons. I've got a lot of buttons to deal with, and my at-home setup isn't quite as good as the office one. Is that better? Cool. Thank you. Honestly, Bethany, it's people feeding back to me that otherwise I could have gone on for 10 minutes there without realising. So I was just saying that of the 84 people that have been to this site, we've got them split between 61 on organic, 19 direct, 3 referral, and 2 paid search. Now there are obviously other sources. This one doesn't have social, which is a huge one. But do people understand the difference between organic, direct, referral, and paid? I'm just going to start explaining them a little bit, but if you're in chat, I'll go into a bit more detail if it's required. So organic is people Googling stuff, Googling your brand, Googling your website, and they don't click on an advert. They click on the listing, so they usually scroll down a little bit. And that means that you haven't paid for it. It's a natural visitor. Now the dream is for any website to have the organic as high as possible. Direct is when people go straight to your website. Now, it used to be a lot trickier. So it used to be that people would literally have to type in www.ammarketing.co.uk. But now, with the likes of Chrome and Firefox, who automatically fill in the rest of the website for you, if you're live and you start typing in it will fill in the rest for you, and you just click enter. That counts as direct now, which it was a big shift, and it's been like that for quite a while. But it's important to understand that direct can be a little bit misleading at times. So if you've got most of your visits coming from direct, it's not really a good place to be. We want people to be finding you on Google or through advertising. Referral just means they came to you from another website. So it could be, Well, it could be anything in the world. If you've written an article and your website is linked on that article, when they click on that, that will be a referral from wherever the article was. Paid search is our favourite paid search. So obviously that's paid advertising. That's where we're obviously doing Google cost per click. Click on that, that's top of the page on Google for the vast majority of time. Now, like I said, there are others. Social isn't here. Social's a big one. And Google Analytics is smart enough to understand when things are Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Pinterest will still get classed under that. So that goes into more detail. And I'll just show you what I mean by that. So we've only got 3 referrals here. So I'm just going to click onto the referral. And you'll see that there's only 3 here, so it's very, very small. But 2 are from Baidu.com, which is actually a Chinese search engine. Like I said, this is an old account. And another one from encryptedsearch.org. Both of these aren't really relevant to this person. But for some websites who deal with a lot of awareness campaigns and they talk about telling people what they do, referral can be very, very valuable. So as you can see on here, what I've done is, because I made that click, I'm now sort of 1 rung deeper into Google Analytics. I can always just go back by clicking on going back to overview on the left hand side here. So that will always take you back to where you were originally. Now, in the middle, we've got bounce rate, pages per session, and average session duration. Now, these are the things that you really should be looking at. So, bounce rate is the number there will say the percentage of people that left your site without doing anything. So, that implies that they bounced off the site straight away. So it wasn't what they were looking for. They didn't get what they needed. Now, this is, like I said, it's an old account, so this is a very low bounce rate because it's got very few visitors at the moment. But what it shows you here is that this has a bounce rate of 3.37%. So what that means is for every 100 people that come to the website, only about 3.5, half a person, can't really have that. Only about 3 people will just leave the site straight away. If 3.37 is your bounce rate on your actual website today, that is absolutely unbelievable. If a client comes to us and they say, what should my bounce rate be? It feels really high. Honestly, we're saying if your bounce rate is under 50%, you're doing all right. 60% sometimes, depending on your industry. But actually, bounce rate doesn't need to be this really, really low thing. Because what you need to bear in mind is that when people come to your website, sometimes they actually do get what they need without having to scroll. So if they land, they might just be looking for your phone number. Well, if they get the phone number and they leave, that's counted as a bounce. So it might be viewed as a negative. Pages possession. So if you just scroll over to the right, clicking on pages possession will bring that into focus. He says. There we go. So as you can see, this will show you how many pages the average person looks at and, based on how they got to your site, if that varies. So this is something that we see, which is very, very common. You'll see that on this site, there is an average of 4.21. So people are looking at roughly 4 pages when they come to the site. But on organic, it's nearly 5. But the rest of them are only about 2. So this shows what I was saying earlier, that organic is so, so, so important. If paid is done well, paid should also be up there as well. Again, pages possession on the site, we're looking at 3, really. That's what we want to be aiming for. But again, if you've got a 1-page site, obviously that's never going to be more than 1. So just because your number doesn't hit a certain pattern, it doesn't mean that it's not. Just because it's 2 or 1 even, it doesn't mean that it's poor. You have to look at it contextually into how your website is being used. If people are just scrolling down and getting what they need, then it doesn't matter that they're on 1. Which may lead you on to more information like average session duration. So this is how long people are spending on the site. Really, we want this number to be about 2 minutes. Again, it varies by source, so we often find that social is much, much smaller. So if you're coming via social media, that average session duration will be smaller, but it doesn't mean it's not it doesn't mean it's not as valuable. If you're coming via organic search, usually we'll find it's higher. And again, this may be an old account, but we're seeing that ring true here. Now, what I wanted to spend a good chunk today of talking about is goals. Now, everybody who uses Google Analytics will be setting up goals to do very, very different things. So their goals can range from people spending time on certain pages, people spending time on people using a contact form, people purchasing something. It could be anything really, and only you will know on your website what you want people to do. And using goals, you can track a lot of that quite quickly. Now, there are things to bear in mind here, and we'll go through them one at a time. But goal setting is very, very important because it means that if you have a big account, you can go onto your, you can go onto your acquisition channel and very, very quickly see where your goals are coming from. So it's important to get these set up. If you don't have any, this area on the right hand side here, where I'm hovering, will just be completely blank. And again, the software is free, setting them up is free, so we should just do it. So I'm going to go run through that now. So on the left hand side, we want to move over and we want to go over to this little cog in the bottom left. So if you click on the cog, it will bring you up to this view here, which will show you the account, your property, and your view. I'm not going to go into that too much here. I just want to talk about goals. So on the right hand side, you'll see this. You should be in this all website data view, which is probably where you are, almost certainly. You've probably only got one of these, so you won't have to worry about it. And just go down and you'll see the goals with a little flag, and we click that. Now you'll see some goals that we set up here, some old ones. And you'll see things like 2 minutes plus on site, email inquiry button, form submit, and phone inquiry. And these aren't uncommon for any website. You know, are people calling you? Are people emailing you? Are people spending time looking at things? You know, we'd want these numbers to be a lot bigger. We want these, you know, these numbers here to be a lot bigger. But as I said, old website. I'll keep coming back to that. So what I'm going to do here is we often set up a goal at a very simple level. And this is whether we're building a site for a client or whether a new client's coming to us. And we'll say the first things first is we need to understand where are your most engaged visitors coming from. And we do that with by setting up a goal which simply looks at how many visitors are spending more than 2 minutes on your site. Relatively simple. And everyone should be able to do this. This should be relevant for every single person who has Google Analytics. So, if we just go up to New Goal and just click, you will get to a page like this. Now it looks very complicated, and actually a lot of the time you don't even need to follow this. We can just go do our own thing at the bottom, which is what I'm going to show you. So Google will try and give you templated things. The problem with Google's templates is that they make massive assumptions on how your website's going to work. And we can just control this ourselves with a tiny, tiny little bit of work. So if we scroll down and we go to custom and then click continue. Now here, we just need to give our goal a name. So I'm just going to call this test 2 minutes plus. You can call it whatever you like. It's completely up to you. It has no effect on your account in the slightest. But just call it something where if somebody new is coming to work on Google Analytics, that they will understand what that means straight away. They don't have to go digging around. And then below here, we've got our custom parameters. So you can see destination, duration, pages per session, and events. Events are a bit more complicated. I'll get onto that later. But we want to look at here, duration. So we just want it to be, if somebody's spending more than 2 minutes, can you just put them into this little bucket of people and give them a tick? So duration, yep. Continue. And we just need to say greater than 2 minutes. And it's that simple, honestly. Now, if your website is not brand new and you're setting up these goals, you know, your website's been live a few weeks, you can actually verify it. So using this, Google can quickly say, oh, well, this is what your conversion rate would be. So there we go. I've just clicked that. The goal would be 10.11% conversion rate based on last 7 days data. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. 10% conversion rate. That's not too bad. But I might want to know, hey, do you know what? Maybe I should make this 5 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes is too small. So if I do 5, I can then re-verify it. And that's 4.49. That's still pretty good for 5 minutes. So now I've got a decision to make. Do I want to have a 2 minute goal and a 5 minute goal? Or do I just want to go straight to 5 minutes? That's something that you're going to have to decide. The only thing you must bear in mind is that if you set up a 2 minute goal and the 5 minute goal, everyone that's in the 5 minute will also be counted in the 2 minute. So let's just say you have 10 visitors, and all 10 of them spend 2 minutes, you'll have 10 people in this 2-minute bundle. And one of them spends 5 minutes. Actually, your first one will count all 10 of those people, and the next one will count 1 for 5. So you've actually got 11 conversions. I hope I've not made that more complicated than it needs to be. You just need to have a bit of, like, you need to look at your data and question your data as well. And it's based on how you set these up. So at first, let's just go for 1. So I'm just going to go back to 2 minutes. I'm going to re-verify it. 10.11%. Now, if there's a financial amount I can attribute to this goal, and this one's probably not, excuse me again, I can actually set that manually here. So let's just say if by magic, when somebody spent more than 2 minutes on your site, you knew that you got £10. You could turn this value to on, and the account is still set in US dollars. You just put 10. You just put 10 in that box, and therefore you can start looking at how much value you're getting out of your conversions. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you know for a fact you're getting a sale, or you've got some very strong evidence to suggest otherwise. Because what this means is, people like us, like an agency, they might come into the account and go, well, this conversion's making money. And it's only when you go into the real detail that you actually understand it's a manual attribution. So I'm just going to turn that off, and I'm just going to save it. And it's done. That's it. So I've got my test goal here. And what I need to do is then I'll go, hey, do you know what? I'm going to go back to my acquisition tab, back to overview. And you see up here, the thing we scrolled past earlier, conversion. And there's my test conversion right there. Select that. Now it's going to be flat. There's going to be nothing there because we've just set it up. And this is why you should always set them up as soon as you can, really. But we know from our little bit of information we looked at earlier that it's about a 10% conversion rate. So I know, roughly speaking, very, very roughly, 84 visitors, about 8 people. Roughly. When I look at this in a week, obviously there will be data in there. And if you've got an active account, obviously there'll be a lot more data in there. Did I mention it's an old website that I'm looking at now? So I want to go back and do another one of these. Just so that we're all on the same page. Oh, hang on. I click custom on our page and then continue, but it doesn't move on to second stage goal description. Okay. Let me just go back to that. So, sorry, I've only just seen that because I was getting so into Google Analytics because I'm such a cool guy. So let me get the goals. So I'm just going to try and set up another one, Bethany. So I'm just going to go new goal, very quickly rushing through this just to get to the point where Bethany's at. You click custom, yep, and then you click continue. But it doesn't move on to the next stage goal description. What does when you're able to click continue, does anything happen after that, or does nothing happen? Bear with me, I'm on a short delay. I mean, if you're setting up a goal, there's be no reason why when you click on custom, it should just go straight through. That's really weird, Bethany, because there's no reason why that would happen. The only thing that I can consider is that perhaps you don't have the right access level for the account. That's the only thing I can think of. If it's literally doing nothing and nothing occurs, but the button's available, so just to show you what I mean, if I try and continue here, I haven't filled out the form, so nothing happens there. But here, I'm able to just... Do you see the page loads quickly? There's a couple of things that is worth trying. I mean, these are the classic IT solutions, but maybe try a different browser. Maybe try switching it off and on again. But there's no obvious reason that I'm aware of why that would happen, I'm afraid. I'm going to keep an eye on chat. But I'm just going to go through another one that could be very valuable. So when we build a website for somebody, we always want to know if somebody has contacted them. Now, you'll have used tons of different websites where you fill in the form, you tap away your details, you click OK, and sometimes it sends you to another page, which is a /thank you. Sometimes it will just do a little pop-up. Sometimes it will just go, your details have been submitted. Now, none of those are wrong. There is no wrong or right way to do this. But if you want to just track it very, very, very easily, you can have a page set up that everyone who submits a form to, they always get pushed to that page. Therefore, you know if somebody's actually completed the form and clicked submit, your website will then send them to /thank you or /confirmation or something like that. And it means that we can set up a really simple goal here so that we can actually understand how people reached a certain page, because there'd be no other way that they could get to that page unless they'd been through the contact form. So I'm going to call this goal contact confirmed. I'm going to call it test contact because I'm just testing things out. And then I go to destination. Then we click continue. Now this is quite important. The destination can be equal to, begin with, or have the regular expression. I've always found the term regular expression a little bit unnecessary, let's just say, because regular expression is effectively saying is in the URL somewhere. Which, I realise that would be quite a wordy thing to put into Google Analytics, but we always stick to something like regular expression for things like this. Now what we want is to have the page, which is /thank you. Now bear in mind, this page has to exist. We can't just type this in and hope it's there. We have to look at the page and see if it's actually available to be set up as a conversion. So please check that first. Go for your own website, submit a form, and see if you get sent to another page, and then it's that URL. Everything after the /. So this one isn't going to work in this situation, but I'm still going to go through and show you. So /thank you, value, talked about that last time. You can attribute a value here. Funnel is a bit more complicated. We're going to leave that for now. And if I click verify this goal, it will say 0 because this website does not have the thank you page. But if it does, you will see that. You will see a change there. I can also, instead of being thank you page, I can check out any kind of page. So if I just change the URL and re-verify it, I can have 48% conversion rate. It must, you must remember that it doesn't mean anything's potentially happened. We are just monitoring something that's important to you for the website. So I'm going to leave this one as thank you, even though I know it's not going to work, just for the sake of everybody watching. And when I click save, I now have 2 test goals that I've set up, and that took a slow half an hour. And if I go back to acquisition, overview, they will be available here for me to check out. That's the absolute basics of goal setting. Now before I just go into a tiny bit more detail about, ignore what I just clicked, it's absolutely unnecessary at this point. Before I go into more detail about other areas, I just want to quickly touch on the thank you thing. So you see at the top, there's a search bar. Now this is incredible, because what I want to know is which is the most popular page on my website. So I can just go page, and it will bring me up all the things that are related to pages: behavior, site content, events, social. If you just go site content and all pages, which I could navigate to on the left hand side, it told me where it was: behavior, site content, all pages. On here I will see what my most popular pages are, and I've got 56 different URLs. The / here at the top, it should be at the top. / just means that it's the home page. There is no specific page that they've gone to. This should be the main one, and it will usually have different sorts of performance. So you know, potentially a little less time spent on the page. A lot of people will enter. See, entrance is here. Enter the page here. And people, this is the percentage of people that's exited the page. They're just, again, there aren't rules to these. It's just a matter of understanding what's right and wrong, and it's just a matter of knowing, right, well, that's how people are getting to my website. This can be really valuable because if you're trying to understand whether people are looking at the content you want them to, a lot of people talk to us about things like blog posts and, oh, I've written 15 blogs in the past year and, you know, they really, really help my website. They may do, and they may not. And if you go onto pages and get to this point, you can actually look for a specific page in this little box. So you could type in something like blog, if you have a blog, or whatever the group of pages is called, and you'll see how many people are looking at something. So you won't, you know, looking at this, you'll see that obviously there's a lot of product categories, right? So I'm just going to look at, I might want to look at all the pages that have chairs on. So if I type in chair, it will filter all my results to only contain URLs of chair, and then I can see the most popular chair table. So you can do that for anything on your website. So I'm just having a little look at chat. For anyone that is watching, you should see a little heart on the screen somewhere, which is Twitch's effectively following link. If you can click that heart, that would really help us out because it means that you'll know when we go live next time. You'll get a little pop up on your phone or even on your desktop. So I hate to be that guy, but you know, please like and follow our page. Right, back to it. So I was just talking about the pages here, really valuable. But one of the things that we always tell people is that everybody always has different questions for analytics. Some people want to know which page is the best. Some people want to know which device is the best. Some people want to know where people are entering, leaving the site. How old are my visitors? What are they interested in? What are they doing? What are they looking at? Well, if you're sat by yourself, and you know we've all got a bit more time at the moment, you can actually type in short questions into this search bar. You'll see right at the bottom, I was testing this out earlier, and I just typed in how much desktop traffic. Now I've written that in sort of computer speak. You know, I haven't said which is my most popular source of traffic. I've just written it in a way that Google can take the call. How much desktop traffic or desktop visitors. So if I just rerun that search, I'm just going to show you what came up. Right hand side, it interprets my question. Oh, were you looking at desktop sessions? Yeah, I was. 56 in the last week. So I'm going to go to the report now. And then it will just, rather than me having to work out where it lives, I've taken myself to report. I can close this box now. And when I scroll down, it will show me. Of those 84 visitors, 84 users, 54 desktop, 27 mobile, 3 tablet. Perfect. Got exactly the information I needed. So you can type in anything to that box. Anything at all. So you might put like, where is my top city? So I can press enter. Oh, there you go. So it's looking at top country by users, and you can see that, so, you know, it's saying metro here. Metro is like region in analytics. You'll find that sometimes there are slightly strange words, but you can work out what they mean quite quickly. But anyway, so I can go here, go to reports, and you know, I might look at this. Oh, get rid of that. I always love this map because I'm a nerd. But it's also quite valuable is that I can change the date at the top hand side. Oh, sorry, I've been talking too much. You can change the date on the top right hand side. So this is only looking at a few days. But let's just change this to last 30 days. Give me a bit more information. So I can see countries here. I mean, this is a British business, so, you know, most of the visitors come from Britain. That's a bit of a relief. US, Canada, Ireland. You know, these are the sort of the right things we want to be seeing. Obviously, this list goes on forever. There are 26 on this list, and sometimes it's quite interesting just to go see where you're getting random visits from. But if you wanted to go to a bit more information, you can see this little bar here, just below the map. You can click city. Not set, quite common. Unfortunately, we can't track every single piece. But when we do know, London, Ashburn, Maidstone, Margate, Dublin, Sandwich, Ashford, Canterbury, Broadstairs, this is a Kent-based business, and these are predominantly Kent-based places. So I would immediately sort of look at this sort of report and go, hey, why is Dublin in the top 10? There might well be a reason for that. I'd go and talk to the client and say, hey, what's going on? Did you go to Dublin? Did you do some sort of trade show? Did something happen? Have you got a new client there? And hopefully they come back to me and say, yeah, we were over there last week, and that kind of explains it. If you're not getting an explanation, then maybe you should look into why people in Dublin are looking for you, and that's an entirely different training thing that we might get onto. It just shows you that your traffic is in the right place. If your business is geographically located and relies on certain things happening, it's certain people being in a certain area. If your business was in the southeast and none of these cities were in the southeast, then something's going amiss. So I'm going to go on to demographics now. So in audience, if you go down to demographics and overview. Oh, good. This is what I was hoping to see. So you have to enable these reports. They will not track by default. So if you go audience, demographics and overview, you will get this information. Now you should definitely do this. It allows you to see age ranges, gender, interests. But you have to make sure that you are complying with privacy policies. So most people should be doing this already with their cookie banners on the sites and the GDPR compliance. So if you know that your business is GDPR compliant, you have nothing to worry about clicking enable here. This is just Google making sure that you're not going to misuse any data. So if I click enable, congratulations. I can't show you that now, but in 24 hours there will be data showing me ages, genders, a bit more about location. You can see them on the left hand side here, age and gender. But again, this is very valuable if you're targeting whether male products and you're only getting women coming to your site, then again, something's strange there, something's not quite working. What else can we have a look at? What else do people want to know? I've gone through the goal setting and I've gone through pages and acquisition, which are two of the major things. Who watching wants to know something specific about Google Analytics or has a question about their website? Because I can now perhaps address individual issues or individual queries, even if it's not something that I've gone into. If it's just a can Google Analytics tell me X, Y, or Z? Can it tell me this? Then now is the time to ask. Or do I just awkwardly sit waiting for people to talk to me? Sad face. Nope, no questions. Looks like we're all Google Analytics pros. Nice. Okay, well obviously it means my training is so spot on that people are just going and implementing it immediately. Let me have a little look here. So I want to talk about events briefly. Oh, am I going too fast? Sorry. While people are catching up, I'm just going to talk about events quickly. Because events are a little bit more complicated. So, I've just run through goals. And goals are based around things that Google Analytics can track by itself. How long people are on pages, how many pages they're looking at, whether they're reaching certain pages. These are quite simple but very valuable metrics. Now, one of the things that people ask us a lot of the time is, yeah, but I want to know if people have clicked on this button. I want to know if people have scrolled down to this certain part of the page. I want to know if people have filled in my contact form, because I don't have a /thank you page. Now, this can be done. I'm not going to be able to go through it in too much detail now because it is much more complicated, and it involves the use of Google Tag Manager. Now, it is just another piece of code. You can put it on the site, and it allows you to go into more detail about if people are clicking certain things, if people are browsing certain things, if people are scrolling to a certain depth, if people are... I'm just trying to think. If people are using certain devices, you can trigger what's called an event, which is something that you define. Clicking this area, clicking this button. And then that can be imported to Google Analytics using a couple of, these are all Google products, so they all talk to each other, very, very straightforward. But what I want you to do, the most important thing here is go set up some goals. If you don't have any, just set some of the basic ones up. The 2-minute goal is the easiest place to start. That gives you insight into where your best traffic is coming from. Then have a look into your pages. See what pages people are looking at. See how long they're looking at them. Because if one page is beating all the others, you should do more of what's on that page on the rest of your site. If you're running any specific campaigns, and we do this all the time for paid search, when we send traffic to a specific page, if the traffic on that page isn't performing very well, we need to change that page quite rapidly. And we can do that because Analytics gives us all the information. So, I want you to go to your website. I want you to pretend you've never used it before and think, right, if I'm coming to this website, I want to get in touch with them with an email or a message. How long does it take you to get there? How easy is it to find? Does it work? Do they go to a landing page? Do you click on a button? Do you fill in a form that says thank you? Understand what is the thing that needs to be tracked first. If it's something with a goal like I've gone through today, you can just set that up this afternoon. If it's a click of a button, that's a bit trickier. And it is something where, don't get me wrong, you can go through it yourself. It involves a lot more of a setup at the start, or you can just get an agency to do it, like us. So, does anybody have any other questions? Unfortunately, I took my guitar out of this room, so I can't sing you a song now, which is what I usually like to finish up a stream with. So, if you do have any questions and you're watching this later, or you're watching this on a different platform and you're not watching it live, then please do drop us a message, go to our website. All of our social links are at the bottom here, so you can message us on absolutely anything, and we will get back to you. And if we don't know, we will find out. But, we're pretty good at marketing and stuff, so we should be able to find it pretty quickly. Okay. So I think that's me done for today. Like I said, we are going to be doing more of these streams and more of these training sessions. So if you want to know more and you want to learn something specific, tell us and we'll do that thing. If you want to know how to set up Google Ads, you want to know how to go into Tag Manager in detail, we can do a step-by-step process. It's not a problem. We are here to educate, we are here to inform, and while we're all sat at home, it's a great time to learn. So whether it's something technical with Google, something more creative, whether it's something to do with, you tell us. Whatever it is, let us know, and we will be here to help you out. So, thank you very much for coming to our first at-home stream. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Follow us on social. Let us know what's going on. See you later, guys.